hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics and Happy New Year, depending on when you're watching this episode. So it is 2022 in January. Not sure when you're watching this, but if you happen to be watching this right now, first of all, Happy New Year. And second of all, we're switching things up this year. So before we pre recorded our episodes, we got a taste of that live streaming, and now we're going to continue with this live streaming. So it's going to be a little more off the cuff and a little more, I don't want to say unprepared, but a little more on edge in a way. And that plays into our hot topics, of course. So we're switching things up for the new year, and let's see how this goes. So I'm ready to start the episode. Let's start the episode. Yes, welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. My name is Gabrielle Crichlow. I'm the owner and director of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. And I've said it multiple times already, but welcome to Hot Topics. So if you're not familiar with us, we are this is the web series where we like to talk real talk about things in education, employment, mental health, physical health, acting, whatever else comes to mind. We like to do deep dives on those topics that you've always thought about, but you always wondered about it, right? So we like to do deep dives into those topics, and we are a tutoring company, so of course we are here to educate you. So today, the topic of this episode is, I'm just gonna pull up my banner. How do I become a filmmaker? So for those of you who are interested in getting into film, how are movies made? What are the tips and the tricks and the hooplas? So this is the episode for you. And I have a guest with me who is going to help me with this discussion. She is actually a returning guest. Her name is Debra Pralle, and I am so looking forward to talking to her again. So let's just get right into it. So, excuse me, who is Debra Pralle? Let me tell you who she is. So Debra Pralle has been a professional actor for over 20 years and an instructor and director for close to a decade. Her work as an actor encompasses stage, screen, and radio. Her recent film work includes roles in Wild with Reese Witherspoon and The Architect with Parker Posey. She has appeared in numerous films, including the lead role in Diana Turner's The Writer's Model, an award-winning film at the, let me be careful when I say this, the Festival Internazionale Cinema delle Donne in Torino, Italy, for, quote, the sarcasm in which the protagonist stands up to and disarms her weird male audience. Her television and radio credits include guest appearances as Emma Wolf on the TNT drama Leverage, and she also has done several commercials, industrials, and voiceovers for companies like Microsoft and Delta Dental. She also has directing stage credits as well. She's directed Antigone, 6 Degrees of Separation, and she has a short film called Period that is on her YouTube channel right now. And in her spare time, if there is such a thing, she catches yoga classes, shares favorite wines with her friends, and happily takes on the roles of wife to Chad and mother to Sophia and Miles. So let me bring her to the stage right now. Hi, Deborah. How you doing?
Hello. I'm great. I'm really good. Really, really good.
Awesome. Well, welcome back to Hot Topics.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about how do I become a filmmaker? For
Right.
those who want to get into um, who want to actually make the movies, who want to make the
Mhm.
films. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And just a quick side note, this is a live stream. So if you happen to be watching this live right now and you have any questions, feel free to ask Deborah by putting them in the chat. All right, so
Absolutely.
Deborah, are you ready?
I'm ready. Do
Awesome.
it.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to pass the baton over to you.
Great. Well, the first thing I would thank you. And the first thing I would say about being a filmmaker is that I know that in 2022, there's no greater time or opportunity to be a filmmaker. If you kind of look at the history of film, there were a lot of gatekeepers. It was a very limited. Uh, Most people couldn't make a movie. The equipment was too expensive. The studios were, locked down. But now, I mean, you can make a movie with your camera and people do it all the time, and there's a huge call for content. So it's a great time to be a filmmaker. There's a great call for a diversity of stories, which is also wonderful. So we're not just paying attention to stories of Caucasian people and their situations. So that's awesome. And it's exciting and it's fun. And honestly, I've been an actor and I've been a director and I've been other things. And I really have almost no much more. I have so much fun when I'm on a set as a director, and I wish I could do it every day. If I could wake up every day and do it, that'd be what I would do. So how do you do that? How do you just become a filmmaker? Well, I think the first thing, like anything else, like any art form, you have to learn your craft. So that means for me, I came at it sort of from a backwards way. I studied acting and I directed plays, but my time on sets as an actor helped me understand the process of filmmaking better. So I kind of learned it that way. So I would say the first thing out the gate is learn your craft. Take classes. I think I say that every time, Gabrielle, that I come on. Take classes. So take an acting class, take a screenwriting class, take a production assistant class. See if there are any productions going on within a 20-mile radius of you. See if you can get on as a production assistant. That's a really tough job. You're going to work really super hard for not great wages, but you'll be on the set and you'll learn the structure, who does what jobs, and how do all these things come together to film things. So that's number one. I would say do your best to learn your craft. But number two, don't feel like you have to learn every minutia of detail about every single thing on a set from beginning to end. Okay. So in other words, I don't ask my gaffer, they're taking care of lighting instruments. I don't ask them to be actors, just like I don't ask my actors to stage lighting. So, but I know that as a director, I have to bring those things together to make the film work. And I hope that makes sense to everybody, because it's something that tripped me up for a long time. I thought, well, I'm just an actor who knows how to, stage scenes, but I don't know how to use that new red camera. And I don't know as much about, how to make shadows disappear from this. And I don't know how to do all that. So I guess I can't direct. And that's just not true. The truth is you just have to learn how all these things come together and be able to communicate your vision to all of those people who know how to do their job. Right. So just don't let that throw you. Don't think that you have to have every single detail. Then I would say once you start figuring that out, you need to figure out what's the story that you want to tell, right? What do you feel passionately about? And you better feel passionate about the story that you want to tell as a filmmaker, because even to make a short film from beginning to end easily could take a year, easily, right? And to stay committed to it and to see it through to fruition, you really have to feel strongly about it. So sometimes it's just picking the story that you feel passionate, and why do you have to tell the story, and why are you uniquely qualified to tell this particular story? That's really important to figure out. Then you have to build a team. So, so it's like, okay, I've taken some classes, I've got a story, I need to build a team of people to work, because you cannot make a movie on your own. And someone may argue and say, well, but Bo Burnham did it and he just did this whole amazing thing. Well, Bo Burnham was a comedian, a musician. He wrote, he filmed a film. He did all these other things before he did his like kind of one-man show that he just did recently. Most of us have to build a team to make all of this work, because there's so many interlocking pieces that have to come together. So you got to build a team. Who do you want to work with? Who do you like? Who digs you? Who do you think, will lift you up and carry you through and carry their part of the project? Getting really good producers is critical, because they're the ones that are not only going to help you in pre-production, but they're going to help you actually push the project out. So getting those really good producers to help you with that is awesome. Yeah, so I think that's the main thing. So, just learn your craft, figure out the story that you want to tell. Once you've got a story, start to build your team, and just get as much experience as you can before you start to film. Yeah.
Awesome. So is it like going to college? Like you go to college and you take your classes, you get a degree, and then are you automatically a filmmaker? Is there do you need credentials? How does that work?
Right. No, you can absolutely get a film degree, and then you will the very next day be unemployed. So welcome to this world. And somebody else who doesn't have a degree, gets a $50,000 budget to make a whatever. So, but I will say, you don't have to get the, $120,000 film school degree. Now, is that a great program? I'm sure that it is. Will you meet people and build connections and build your platform? Will you already start making films in that program? You will. You'll start making short films. Even if you come to I teach at Shoreline Community College, and we have a film and theater program, and you can come and take a first level class called Acting, Writing, and Directing for the Camera, and you can direct a very short piece in that class. So, and in a way that makes you a filmmaker. You've made a film from beginning, middle to end, So no, you don't need a degree. But a lot of people are able to, you don't go to NYU just because it's cool, and it is cool, but you build a network. And I guess that's something I didn't mention before too, is that, anybody can make a film, obviously. You just have to have a team, and you have to have some money, and you have to have the follow through to do it and find an audience. But what was I going to say? Shoot, I lost it. There's no guarantee. Oh, building a network. So yeah, so building a network of people, of connections to help you get those jobs, working on the sets as the PA, and then moving up to another position, and then maybe moving up to another position. That's how you start to build your network and work your way up to maybe helming a paid gig to, shoot a commercial or something like that. But usually someone's not going to just hire, you're not going to walk into a production company and go, hi, I want to make a film. And they're going to go, here's $50,000. You bet. I like you, kid. So you kind of have to have some work and a resume, just like anything else.
So in terms of, I mean, anyone can make a film, like you said, but then
Mhm.
there's smaller budget and then there's bigger budget
Mhm.
movies. Um, so how does one become the Steven Spielbergs of the world and the Ron Howards of the world and what other directors are there?
Oh my.
There's the what is it, Guillermo del Toro or whatever his
Sure.
name is, but how do you become those big names?
Well, Ron Howard started out in television as a child actor, and then worked through it that way, and then had opportunities. Steven Spielberg just started picking up camera when he was a kid and just started making movies and stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, anymore you can put together a body of work, especially with YouTube and other platforms that shows what you can do as a director. So I would say more than ever, being able to put together some kind of a demo reel of what you've shot and what your perspective is. You can do that. I don't know. I would say I don't know. I have not spent my life making films like those guys have, but I would say now the thing that you want to do is show what you can film. So like I wanted to prove that I could make a short film, so I made Period. And from there, I can use that as sort of a calling card to other production companies or whatever, and say, "Hi, well, I made this film, and this is what I can do," and they can see it and go, "Yes," and that sort of thing. But I mean, do I need to do more? Absolutely. And I'm already working on that process. And there's a lot of different things you can do. You can make I highly suggest that you start with something very short, maybe a 4 to 5 page script, honestly, and you can tell a great story in 5 minutes. People do it on TikTok in 3 minutes, right? So start with shorts, and build up from there, just so you can kind of put together like a calling card. So I did the same thing as an actor. The more work that I did as an actor, I was able to put that together into a demo reel and then show prospective directors. And sometimes I could just bypass stuff and they would just go, "Yep, I like that, let's go." But that takes time. So
Right. So it's like you were mentioning before about working your way up. So
mhm.
it's like developing a video resume or a portfolio. You make a
Mhm.
bunch of short films and you you present it to a production company, and then if they like you,
Mhm.
they like your work, they'll give you a big budget. And then if that turns out really well, then they'll keep giving you more, and then you network and you make your connections and you maybe save some money, and then
Uh-huh.
you might open your own production company. So it's
Sure.
similar to working in a big company.
Yeah. And I would say in the beginning too, which is building your community and building your network of people. There's a lot of people that are in the same position as you are. They're starting out and they want to do good work and they want to create work. So there's lots of people that if they feel passionate about the project will work for free, because everybody wants an opportunity to work on projects to show what they can do. So I'm not suggesting that nobody should get paid for what they do, but I'm saying when you get started, you don't need to have a $50,000 budget and make a feature. What you should do is, convince your parents or your family that you work on this script and be like, "Hey, would you guys volunteer to pay my crew for the day with pizza and drinks or whatever?" And then just find those people that want to create with you. And then once you do that, then you can start to move into um, marketing yourself as somebody who gets paid to do that stuff. All those commercials that you see, everybody is getting paid to make those commercials. And they probably started out doing smaller videos, proving their work, working on sets, working as PAs, understanding the business. So making connections, right? There's a place called Stage 32, which is a nonprofit, just clearinghouse of helping people connect. They offer some free classes, some paid classes, but it's a way for you to connect to other filmmakers who do, or musicians or actors or all kinds of people, and building that. And that's one thing that I'm not as good at. I'm really good at my local community, but I've not really taken advantage of the broader way that you can connect with people. And that is another thing that film festivals are really great for, or had been in the past when we would still get together for film festivals, was if you could get your short film or whatever, your project, into a film festival, you go to the festival, meet other filmmakers, meet other actors, meet other directors and producers, and build your community that way. So
Awesome. So let's talk about your short film period. Can
sure.
you get into how did you put that together? What were the steps? How did you find your actors? How did you get access to the cameras? Can you go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So like I said, I've been an actor for 30 years, off a decade there. But yeah, so I've been acting and I've been in the Seattle area since I was 25, I think. So I've been here a long time and I've done a lot of work. So I know a lot of people, on all the different projects that I've worked on. So that's one thing that helped me. But period. So yeah, so I had this idea for a feature that had 3 different storylines of 3 different women, and I just got overwhelmed. I was like, it's just really overwhelming to try to write a 100-page screenplay if you've never even written a short, right? It's completely daunting. I don't recommend it. But I thought, I wonder if I could just take one of these characters and I wonder if I could tell her story in a short. And that's what I did. I took a screenwriting class. I joined a writing group, so that I would have due dates, so important, and I would have feedback. So those are 2 critical things as you're developing your script. Learn the craft, give yourself due dates, and get in a group of people, because that will keep you honest. It will keep you motivated, because it's very difficult. No one's paying you, right? And no one's over your shoulder going, write your screenplay. Did you write today? Right? No one's doing that. You're trying to live your life and pay your bills and do your stuff. So that's the first thing. And I knew I had this story that I wanted to tell about a young girl, in the 80s, who was like super excited to get her period, and then thinks that she got it, but she really didn't. And she has this single dad that doesn't know how to talk to her, and it's very awkward. And that was just the story that I wanted to tell, because I hadn't seen a lot of those stories. You see a lot of coming of age stories of boys, not as many of girls. And if it is about their period, it just tends to get like made fun of and brushed over in a weird, way. And so that was a story I wanted to tell. Wrote the screenplay, got the feedback, handed it to my two fabulous women, Kira and Lorraine, who are producers in the area and I've worked with before. And I said, I want to make this movie. Will you help me? And they said, yes. I said, great. So then from there, they began to take over as producers, put a team together. That's what a producer really does. Executive producers have money typically, but producers are just there to get your team together so you can actually shoot the film. So they started to do that. I happened to teach at a college that has a lot of equipment, so we were able to take equipment from the college for free. I also tied it into a course that summer, so I was able to use some students that came aboard. For them, it's sort of an internship to work on set. What else did I do? I had been funneling away some money. So I had some of my own money to spend on it, because you got to feed people and stuff like that. And then I went, what did we do? We got a timeline of when we wanted to do the film. I had a casting director that I talked to because I needed 2 kids and I didn't have a lead on that. So I had a casting director that volunteered to help me have a casting session. Then we started scouting locations. Then we did a shot list, because you got to figure out every single shot that you're going to take, and the order that you're going to do it. So pre-production is a huge amount of time, but it's so critical, because once you get on a set and a location, the clock is ticking and time is money. and actors are there and you only have so much time. So you have to be super prepared of everything that you're going to do. So pre-production is a big part of it. Then you go into principal photography, which is when you actually shoot the film. Okay. The days with the actors and everything. Then you go into post-production, which is where you edit, you add music, sound, colorization, all of that, to where you get it into a picture lock and then you put all the bells and whistles on it. Then you've got a movie. So what? Now what do I do with it? Right. I could talk about that. But I think the main thing I want people to realize is that, you know, from idea to script to pre-production to principal photography to post-production, there's a lot that goes on there. And again, building your team and putting things together, and having the money and the resources and stuff to finish it. And you can do movies on a whole lot of different budgets. If I had more money, I would have paid my actors even more. I just had a certain amount of money that I could pay them, plus other things. And yeah, the main thing, I'll tell you the key to everything: feed people. You must feed people when they work on your film. All right. Even if you don't give them anything else, you got to make sure there's bathrooms and you got to feed them. And the better you feed them, the more they'll come back. That's just a pro tip.
Awesome. That's a great tip. I mean, in general, you got to feed people, and they will come. So can you talk about the impact of social media on making films? Because your short film period is on YouTube. So I'm wondering, we were talking about making smaller films first and using that as a portfolio / resume. So I'm wondering if you can talk about the impact of YouTube and social media in general in terms of breaking into the filmmaking industry.
Right. It's completely changed it. I mean, it used to be that, once video cameras came out and more people could just make movies cheaply, the big thing at that point was like, Sundance came out in 1984 and the Sundance Film Festival. So film festivals were really the way that young filmmakers or new filmmakers could show their work. They'd get into festivals. Then, of course, the internet and YouTube, and now people can post anything. So it has a huge impact. And one thing that I found confusing was, after I finished period, I was ready to send it out to film festivals, which, by the way, every film festival that you try to get into has a fee to even try to get into the festival. So that's something that you need to think about with your film, like there. And I could talk a little bit about, the types of films that festivals tend to lean into: shorter, if you're doing shorts, right? And content and stuff. But that's something you have to think about when you're doing that. Anyway, so I didn't put period out. I didn't send it to anybody. I had a screening for the cast and crew, but I didn't put it anywhere because film festivals don't want it out there. They don't want your content out there. They want to show your film at their festival and not have it be somewhere else somebody can see. So it's sort of a double-edged thing. Like, you want to show people your film and you want to get it out there, but if you want to run the circuit, right? So I ran the circuit. I applied for 30 film festivals. I got into 5. Yeah. Which actually is pretty decent. That's pretty decent odds. And then after, like, the end of last year, I was just like, okay, I'm not going to go to any more festivals. I'm going to throw it up on YouTube. And I don't have a big presence on social media at all. But for some reason, it got picked up with some commercials for Young Sheldon, the TV show Young Sheldon. So somehow people that were watching that were getting connected to whatever. I don't know, maybe it's the subject matter. And all of a sudden we went from like 500 views to like 70,000 views. We didn't do anything. It just happened. And since then, it's been on YouTube for exactly just over 1 year, and we're at 3.9 million views. And now the question then is like, what other content? Like people are like, what else have you got? And I'm like, nothing. Like it takes a lot of work to make a short film and COVID and, all this stuff. So, I mean, you can definitely build an empire, and you can definitely, if you've got ideas for a television show or whatever, you can 100% use social media in a myriad of ways to show off your work, right? You don't have to go the film festival circuit necessarily. But then an interesting happened. Then film festivals started reaching out to me because they saw the views on YouTube and were like, you should come to our film festival. And I was like, wait a second, now what's going on? Like film festivals want the films from. So I'm not really sure what exactly the best route is. I think that film festivals can introduce you to people, and it can give your film some cred, right? So if you've got the laurels for all these different, I mean, like if you can get into Sundance, good luck. But like if you can say this is my Sundance, film, that sets off bells of like, oh wow, got into Sundance or got into Toronto or got into Austin city limits or whatever. So there's prestige that comes with that. But I don't know. I know a lot of people that just throw everything up on social media and see where it goes and build from there. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
And I've noticed this maybe in the past few years that there's movies now that are made like entirely on Skype.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was one movie I saw, I think it was called Unfriended. And then there was another movie, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a reporter that went undercover because there was a I forgot the name of the movie, but it was a reporter who went undercover, and because there was a recruiter in like the Middle East, and they were
Right.
trafficking girls, and she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be one of those girls. Oh, I forgot what movie that was called, but
I
that
know what you're talking
was,
about. Yeah, but it was pretty much shot entirely on just screens, just almost like,
yeah.
yeah.
So I mean that was a new thing. I noticed that a couple times, and I'm like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there, and I don't know if it's an effect of the pandemic, but I started noticing that like the
Mm-hmm.
entire movie was. I mean, I think there was some post production editing,
Oh,
but
sure.
but
Yeah.
just if, like if not all of it, like 90% of it was made with Skype.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And there obviously is a market for that, and there's shows. I mean, I even think about like the horror, all the like the found footage, and there's all kinds of ways stylistically that you can shoot something super on the cheap. You don't have to have a crazy expensive, red camera or whatever, to get things to look good. You don't have to. If you can, that's great. The different lenses can give you different depth of field, and there's different looks and things you can do, but you don't have to have it. I mean, I miss. I mean, I think that stuff's interesting. Personally, I don't want to see anything over Zoom again in my entire life. Like, that's not my personal thing. But yeah, you don't have to have crazy expensive stuff to make things happen. You really don't. And there's a lot of really great content online, sort of like film school on the cheap. Like, how do you just set up 3-point lighting? And what if I take this out and look what that does? Like I said, you don't have to go to college necessarily to learn that. There's a lot that you can learn online. But there's also, you have to do it to really learn it, right? You have to set it up and do it and be part of it. It's like acting. I can read acting books till I'm, blue in the face, but until I get up and actually try to do a scene, that's when I know what I can do. And same thing with making a film from beginning to end. Like I said from the beginning, it's just such a process to get all those pieces together that You really have to be committed to it. So, and find good editors. Yeah, I'm a terrible editor. So,
Right, like, but then there's even like, I mean, yeah, there's people that can edit for you if you want to hire
mhm,
out, but
mhm,
there's also editing software,
yep,
that's on the typical laptop.
right.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the process of making movies, I think is getting simpler
mhm,
and more convenient.
yep.
So it's
Well,
not as difficult.
it's becoming more accessible to everybody, and I think that's great. It's awesome that it's accessible to everybody. It's also overwhelming that there's so much content in there out there. You know what I mean? There's just so much stuff that how do I make my mark, or what am I doing with my story to bring attention to it or whatever. And I don't know. But I think taking your time and putting something together that is really your voice and your story, because anybody can put together a commercial. I mean, like you said, exactly, right? You can get a camera and do all this stuff and you can put it together. Or a person can learn to do that. But what makes it uniquely you? What's your story, and why do I want to see it and hear it and tell it and hire you? I think and also, and part of it too is just like, as a director, uh, do you inspire people to come together to complete a project? That's a big, big part of what you do as a director. Your job is to be very prepared and know what the vision is and keep moving forward and inspire people and stay calm when everything else could be falling apart, right? Which is also why you surround yourself with great producers who keep things moving, and great technical teams and stuff. But your job is just to inspire and keep people going and see it through to the end. That's the biggest job.
So, I just want to bring it back a bit. We were talking about production companies.
Mm.
So you have your portfolio, your resume, you take it to a production company. So where are these companies? Where do we find them? Where do we start? What's the phone numbers? Do you have any
Yeah,
recommendations?
girl, I wish I knew. The thing is, anybody could call themselves a producer. I mean, and even when we made Period, my husband and I started an LLC called Open Window Entertainment. So we registered that as a business because we knew that we were going to have to file taxes and all of that stuff at the end of the year. We've not produced anything since. It's been 2 years and we've not produced any shows. I mean, COVID was obviously a huge problem, but so you can start your own production company. I think that, you know, again, working on sets is a really great way to meet people and see who is producing content. I'm not, I really wish I could tell you more, because every time I work on something, um, there's different producers attached to it. Different production companies do it. So like there's like a business wants to do a commercial, they hire a marketing team, the marketing team hires a production company, the production team. So it's hard to see where that goes. The only production company that I've worked with consistently is a company called Von Piglet, and run by Sue Corcoran. And she's been a producer in the Seattle area for many, many times, but her real bread and butter and what she does a ton of stuff for is Microsoft. So she she started out in indie films, and then she shifted into building content for Microsoft, because Microsoft does all these like elaborate videos that they're corporate videos for all of their employees and stuff. And I was in like her last 12 episodes. So like I actually played a character through all of these, and she was the production company. And so for me, and she and I have talked many times, I know that I could reach out to her, or that I could be a hire behind the camera when she's not using me as an actor. And we've already started to discuss that. But I don't, I wish I knew. I wish I had a magic list. Here's all the producers you should call. I don't know. I mean, you could go with the big ones. You could reach out to Netflix and different places and just see if they're hiring. these companies are all over the country now. So who are they hiring and what do they need? And how can you get in on the ground floor just as an employee and then navigate your way through it? I don't know. Oh, you know what? Actually, there's another thing you could do. If you're a screenwriter, there's also a lot of really good screenwriting contests that can help you, especially if you win or you move up there. That can be a way to connect to producers. They'll often attach producers to those contests, and you'll have an opportunity to pitch your projects to producers. And pitching is a whole different thing we could talk about too, if you want to.
All right, that could be another episode. Yeah. So are producers, are they scouting for content? Like, you know how there's talent scouts. So
Sure.
are there producer scouts? Like, do you just have to be at the right place at the right time?
Right. Yeah. I mean, Netflix, let's go with Netflix or Amazon, they have producers that are looking for content, but there's levels to get your stuff in front of people. You can't just send a script to somebody. They won't read it. You have to either have some connections or find a way or a contest or whatever to kind of get it, or, who do you know? But you'd be surprised who you know. I mean, like I have a couple of television show projects that I've been pitching this last year. By pitching, I mean, I've put together like 3-minute TED Talks of sorts of what the shows are. And then if I can get people interested in that 3 minutes, then I can send them the pilot. And then and then the next thing. I lost it again. Shoot, because I started thinking about pitching and then I got off on my what are we talking about? Shoot.
We were even I forgot.
I forgot.
And we are live.
Our producers like casting
Production
directors.
companies and
Yeah.
how do
Yeah, I
you
think there are producers out there that are looking for content. Absolutely.
scouting. I was talking about scouting.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think this is where like Stage 32 and these different like even hell, LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is a place where people make connections and stuff too. Could be looking for stuff, and but pitching is a big part of it too. As a writer or a filmmaker, if you've got a project that you want to try to fund or that you want to get people interested in, you have to get a pitch together, because most people are just not going to read your script. They're not. You get about 3 to 5 minutes to talk about your project in an interesting, engaging way, in hopes that they will be like, I like this person and I like this idea, and I think we could maybe do something with this. Send me your stuff. Right. So, but you'd be surprised who knows people who know people at places. And that's where the networking comes in. And that's something that I have been truly remiss on doing. I tend to just kind of work locally, and you really can't. You got to push it out. And I didn't even know, for example, that one of my acting agents has a person at Netflix who's a showrunner. I didn't even know that. And I'm like, hi, I have these 2 show ideas, and I've written the pilot, and could we talk to somebody about this? So you just have to ask. That's the thing. You got to be really bold. Just ask people, and not in a cheesy sort of, how can you help me sort of way, but kind of like, hey, I have this thing. Do you know anybody? How can we work together? How can we make this happen? Because everybody's looking to find people to help them get things to the next level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my thinking is taking those classes helps too. And because I would think, because I had a friend who majored in film, like taking those classes and making those connections. So that's why I'm thinking scouting. Like, are they going to colleges looking for kids? So I would think, taking those classes could lead to those connections as well. And again, we were talking earlier about social media and using that. Um,
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. And again, I am not the best social media person. I admit, and it's one of my goals for 2022. I'm finally on Instagram. I'm finally like trying to do this stuff, but but yes, I mean, I even think about the students who take classes from us, and we're not, I'm not a big wig at Netflix, but I know Sue Corcoran, who runs Von Piglet, who does videos for Microsoft, who is always hiring teams of people to come in, paid jobs, right? So if students come to my classes and they do a good job and I can recommend them, then then I can do that, and we all kind of help each other. So absolutely, classes and community is just one way to start, kind of building your team, because I think it can feel a little daunting when you're first starting out. You're like, I really love films and I want to do this, but I don't know where to get started. Take a class, talk to people, right? Everybody that's in that class is probably in there for the same reason. They want to do something creative, and they may have skills or know people, and you can build a team. And we've had a lot of students too who have left our program and found each other and have set up their own production companies. And they're not making any money right now, but they're putting together teams and they're working on projects and they're building their portfolio, and that's super exciting.
and internships as well, right? Because I think like Mindy Kaling started off as an intern. I know it's TV, but she
Mhm.
started off as an intern, I think, a TV
Sure.
intern. There's a couple other actors that started off as interns.
Mhm.
So, do you think doing an internship would help as well?
Oh my goodness, it can't hurt, unless you just don't show up. I mean, like, yes, absolutely. And be always, have your stuff ready to go. That's the thing too. It's like, do the internship and learn. And if you want to be a writer, you better get something down on paper. Stop talking about what you're going to write and write it. Have it ready to go. Have it gone through some edits. Get your own portfolio ready. If you want to be an actor, are you taking the classes? Do you have monologues ready? If you have that chance to get up there and audition, are you ready to go? So yeah, people don't just wander into these. They may have an opportunity that somebody else didn't get, but they have to be prepared, right? So if you're not prepared when you have the opportunity, but yeah, intern, talk to people. I think the main thing though is like, just don't be, I definitely, I think there can also be an overwhelming presence on social media. There's people that constantly are tooting their own horn, and I did this and I did that, and look at me, and look and look and look and look and look and look. And I'm like, well, okay. And you should absolutely promote yourself, but just find a balance and find the people that you want to work with. And yes, by all means, when you have a success, you should share it on social media and stuff like that. And you can find connections in there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's start to wind things down. So, do you have any final advice for anyone who wants to get into the filmmaking industry, or they need the first step, they want to figure
Yeah.
out how to get started, and if someone just like, oh, I want to just make movies, what's the first step, or whatever comes to mind, really?
Yeah.
Do you have any final words of wisdom for
Sure, sure. Look, if you want to make a movie, you absolutely can. There's almost no barriers. So that's not the issue. The one thing I would say is start. When I say start small, I don't mean don't not small ideas, but small projects that you can see through to completion. So think in terms of small things, not the Oscar winning feature and that sort of stuff to start out. Always have your eyes on that prize, sure, great. But I think that stops most people at the gate. They're just like, I'm going to make this movie, and then it's just too hard. It's really hard to see it all the way through. So start with small, tangible goals. Find the story that you want. Find your tribe. Find your people. Protect your content. That is one thing we didn't really talk about, but it's something that I've experienced a couple of times, where I have produced content or worked on scripts with people, or there was a screenplay contest that I chose a winner, and I was slated to direct the winning screenplay. And then a couple months into it, the guy that was running it was just like, no, we have somebody else. And I didn't get anything in writing. I trusted that would follow through. As you start to have your content and you start to build your content, register your screenplays with the Writers Guild. Make sure that you really vet people as well. And that you, by all means, do work in the beginning for free. I know that sounds like not a lot of fun, but if you have an opportunity to be on a set of a small film and they can't pay you, just do it. Do it. You're going to learn, and sometimes you have to just do that. But then as you go on, just make sure that you, that you vet people, and that you try to put a team together that you like and trust. And then just go for it, right? Go for it. But know that it's a long game. Treat it like a marathon, not a sprint. It's not a sprint. TikTok is a sprint, right? I made a video, I did some stuff, cool, right? And that's great. Love it. Hilarious. So cool. But an actual film or an actual story like that, it takes time from beginning to push it through to the end. So but don't let it overwhelm you. I mean, I think I let it overwhelm me. That's my advice. And I think, and this is going to be a very general, broad statement, but I think sometimes as women, we tend to wait until everything is lined up and perfect before we will start it, for fear of it not following through and doing it right. Start to get that out of your head. You're just gonna have to jump. You just have to jump in and not worry that every single thing is not perfect. All you can do as a filmmaker and a director is try to set up your shots and create your vision. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong, but if you just sort of keep driving, just like, what was the fish in Little Nemo? Just keep swimming. That's what I recommend. Yeah. And just find your passion. What's your story? What do you want to tell? Every story's been told, but what's your unique spin on it? That's what people want to see.
Awesome. So Debra, thank you so much for joining me again today. So let me get your little banner up. All right. Yay. So you guys, her contact information is scrolling below.
Yeah, I have 4 pictures on Instagram. Easy.
Yes, she's on Instagram. So check her out on social media. She's on Facebook and Instagram. You could also watch her short film period. It is on her YouTube channel right now.
Yeah, push us over. We're almost at 4 million. So go watch it. Push us over.
Wow, 4 million
I know.
views.
It's
okay.
Crazy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you have any questions about filmmaking, acting, or you're a production company, shoot her an email. Definitely reach out to her.
Absolutely.
She is available if you have any questions.
Yep.
Awesome. So Debra, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
I'm going to place you backstage right now. And it is you and me, guys. So let me get my banner up. All right, so we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out our social media for more videos and clips. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and share. Don't forget to share this video as well. And one more thing, let us know what you thought of this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below. So whether you are watching this on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, please leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you thought about this episode. And as a reminder, we are a Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you would like to learn more about us, you want to learn about our services, you want to learn about this web series, or you want to learn about yours truly, you can visit us online. Our website is www.stepaheadtutoringservices.com. And we are also on various social media platforms as well, as you see scrolling below. And before I close, I'm going to make this one last statement here. So it takes a lot to run this ship that is a Step Ahead Tutoring Services. And with running a big ship, we need help. So please consider making a financial gift to the company. No amount is too small. The ways that you can contribute is scrolling below, and we have a variety of different ways that you can make that contribution. So I am going to play a small video that will explain more about that.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at a Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please support us with a financial gift. No amount is too small. Your gift will allow us tutors to remain employed, offer free and low-cost services, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. Note: we're a for-profit company. Your gift may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
Yes, so please consider, please consider supporting us today. No amount is too small, and we will greatly appreciate it. All right, so that is it for our episode. Please tune in to more episodes coming up. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you again. Signing off.